Welcome to Normal to Formal Podcast. I'm your host, Tia Young. I'm the founder of Tia Young Image and Etiquette. I help my clients learn the soft skills for success through professional development and etiquette training. The topic for today's podcast is Hospital Guest Etiquette, episode number 41. For the past 2 weeks, my mom has been in the hospital with complications from fluid on her lungs, liver, kidney problems, and then also heart problems as well. So we've been here, now it's been a little over 2 weeks, and I'm actually sitting in the hospital recording this podcast. I've been spending the past 2 weeks here, at least 4 hours to 5 hours a day, just sitting with her, making sure I get a chance to talk with the nurses and doctors as well to figure out best as I can what's going on and making sure that she gets the help and treatment that she needs. My sister Felicia is a doctor. She does live in Houston, and she was actually here at the time that my mom went into the hospital. And so she's able to talk to the doctors in terms that I really don't understand. And then she can actually explain to us what's going on. But I wanted to share some tips, some do's and don'ts as a visitor in the hospital if you have a family member or friend that's in the hospital. And the things that I've noticed as I've been here the past 2 weeks. First of all, we love our loved ones and we want them to get the best care possible. So some of the do's, if you are visiting the hospital, is follow all of their guidelines and rules, meaning COVID is still prevalent. And the nurses and doctors are very careful wearing their masks. So as a visitor, you have to wear a mask as well. When you come into the room, you can take the mask off, but my mom being a little older, of course, in her late 70s, I want to make sure I don't bring any germs in from the outside. So, of course, it's mandatory for guests to wear their mask for precautions of COVID, because we do not want her to get COVID while she's going through all these other tests and treatments. So, wearing that mask in the hospital is mandatory. And then it depends on where you go, but the hours of visitation is also limited in some. This particular hospital, 9 p.m. is the latest that you can be here, and 5 a.m. is the earliest, while in others it's 24 hours. And it's the type of center also. ER is open 24 hours, the emergency room. So make sure when you are visiting, if you are allowed to visit your particular loved one or friend, make sure you're following the hospital rules and guidelines first of all. You also want to make sure that that hospital patient is okay with you coming. Some hospitals do have rules on the number of people that can visit per day, or the number of people that can visit in that room at the same time. Others might have to wait in the lobby and you take turns. So all these things I'm learning while I'm in here. I have been blessed actually not to have a hospital stay other than to give birth. So let me knock on wood, because I know God is good, but we all every now and then have to visit the hospital for some reason or another. Another thing, follow the rules that the patient wants, meaning if the family does not want outside friends to come, only close family members to visit, please do not get upset. Just understand that we want the patient, the loved one, to be safe. And they might not be in the state of mind to really take on being able to talk like they normally would or answer questions like they normally would. My mother at that time, when she first got to the hospital, because of the medications or anesthesia, she was not thinking like she normally would at 100%. So, it was kind of hard to watch, but we knew that she was getting the treatment that she needed to heal properly. And once that medication wore off, she was tired or sleepy, lethargic, and those kind of things. So Keep that in mind as well. If you're not invited to come to the hospital, if you're not an immediate family member, there will be someone like myself or my dad that can reach out and answer calls and answer texts. I did post on Facebook that my mom was in the hospital for her kidneys and her heart, and then please pray, and got over 500 people to respond. So just keeping people up to date, I think worked the best because my mom knows so many people, and so do I in our family, and they're really just concerned. Everybody's really just concerned and hoping for the best. And then she is on the mend, that she is still here at the hospital, but in the process of being discharged in a couple more days. She did start kidney dialysis. They determined that she will have to continue that 3 days a week, kidney dialysis, and also rehabilitation to get her strength back. Being 78, almost 79 years old, being in the hospital 2 weeks and not getting up and about like you normally would, your muscles atrophy. I think that's the right word. They're not as strong as they were before you got into the hospital. So those things you have to keep in mind as a friend or a visitor to the patient in the hospital. As far as food as well, she could not eat normal food, or sometimes when she had surgery the next morning, let's say for the heart, she could not eat anything after midnight the night before. So, and then it went to the liquid type foods and then the softer foods, and now she's back to a regular diet, but her appetite is still very, very small, maybe eating 25% or less of the food that was brought in. And she preferred, of course, the sweeter stuff, or the protein shake, or the jello, or pudding, or applesauce. Applesauce and apple juice were her favorite. So my sister and I would come in and make sure she was okay, and just be here in her presence. So when she did wake up from a nap, or she did come back in from a surgery or procedure, she saw our face. And when we knew she was doing better, she would start to say our name, "Hi, Dia," things like that, instead of like, "Who is that?" and looking as if she was a little bit confused. So I'm seeing the progress every day of her getting better, and just can't wait till she gets out. Other things that you can do: send flowers, or when she gets out and back home, because my dad is going to have a hard time making sure she eats well, just offering, "Can I bring by some food?" or have it sent by Uber Eats or whatever food service that is available. So offer those things. She might not be able to have company right away, so keep that in mind, and that me or the family members will keep you up to date of what's going on and how she's doing overall. My sister, being a doctor as well, knew to be able to get more answers from the nurses when she came to visit, to send them a tray of goodies, of cookies or Panera bread sandwiches or whatever it may be, treats. And I never even thought about that. But that's a good tactic. If you want to kind of really get in good with the nurses, they have the care of your loved one overnight. And when you're not there, when you step out to go get a bite to eat, you want to make sure they're giving their very best. And just having someone in the room as much as possible, at least one person. My dad and I, since my sister's gone back to Texas now, her home, I'm here and my dad's here, so we kind of take turns making sure at least somebody's here during those visiting hours for her, to make her feel a little bit more secure and she's not alone. So we're always there to show our concern. Then I brought the brush to brush her hair up a little bit, got a little bit of makeup, a blush to put on her cheeks, so she can feel a little bit more alive and feel a little bit more like herself, even though she's still going through the process. And she's always trying to I want to get up, I'm ready to go home. And they, "No, not yet. We got to make sure we get all the care that she needs," but trying to make it as normal as possible, even though we are in the hospital. Some of the things as a visitor or guest you don't want to do, or you're concerned with the family members, the questions that you ask. You don't want to ask too many personal questions. For instance, when I shared the post on Facebook, I just said she's going through a procedure for her kidneys, started kidney dialysis, and for her heart. That's enough. You don't want to know all the details as if you're the nurse or doctor. So just continue to pray. So prayer always is one thing that you can do for a loved one or a friend that might be in the hospital. Prayer, prayer, prayer. And I, of course, believe prayer changes things. It's very hard for the family members and friends that are close. So you say something to them, I'm praying for you as well, because we're stressed out, making sure that she's okay. So make sure you tell that close family member or spouse or sister or brother, and of course the kids, that what can I do for you? Because I know you're caring for her or him. What can I do for you? And that means so much to me. I've been reached out by so many people saying, Tia, how are you doing? And I might get emotional sometime when I talk to people, thinking about, your mom. It's my mom. So I want to make sure that she's okay. So checking on the caregivers as well as the patient and making sure that person is okay. So you don't want to ignore them or leave them out. Always show your concern to the patient, the caregivers, which are the family members and close friends. Also, and that respect for the nurse, the doctors, the food service, the people that come help clean the room, everybody. Make sure you're respectful and nice. And one little mistake, actually, because they're not paying attention or they might be upset, whatever it may be, human error can cause death. So making sure that you're pleasant, all the staff members, so they can give the best care to your loved ones. So this has just been a few tips from me as the daughter of my mom that's been in the hospital for 2 weeks now and is on the up and up, recovering and almost able to be released from the hospital to start rehabilitation to kind of build her strength back, and then to share how hard these nurses and doctors and staff work at the hospital as well, because as I watch them do the things they're doing, because my mom is not strong enough to get up and go to the restroom, so helping her use the restroom, washing her body, all those things, helping her with the physical therapy to stand a little bit and walk and sit in the chair, not being in the bed the whole day. I have a great respect for any and all of a hospital staff members. So just that little thank you to them and showing your respect to them. So I hope this has helped you, as you may have been in the hospital, you have loved ones in the hospital, but treating that staff with respect and how to treat that patient and the loved ones of that patient as well. Thank you so much for listening to Normal to Formal podcast today. I hope you learned a few more things in the area of hospital guest etiquette. You can follow me at Mrs. Tia Young on Facebook and Instagram, and Mrs. Manners on LinkedIn. My website is tiayoungimage.com, and I do have a TED Talk called Etiquette, the Lost Art, that can be found on YouTube or TED.com. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.